If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
When you get into these sort of passion-based professions, you have to work extremely hard because the competition is fierce. Everybody wants to do what they love for a living. So you have to be better than everybody, literally, in order to survive. And that takes a lot of grinding, a lot of hours, and a lot of work.
Step into the world of success with Your Brand Amplified, the ultimate podcast designed to unravel the intricacies of thriving businesses. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I'm on a mission to uncover the stories, strategies, and secrets that have propelled entrepreneurs and business leaders to success. I am thrilled to have somebody with similar but different roots than I have, Darin Roberge. You are currently, of course, you have your own agency, Motorworks, CEO, founder. You do a lot of things, and you have for a long time in the classic car and the car community. But your roots go back to the days when punk rock bands, I would say, were more prevalent, maybe. As a Gen Xer, I cut my teeth going to punk rock shows in Kansas City, as well as being a club promoter when raves were first starting to become a thing. So I'd love to hear how your journey unfolded and, how you elevated from one area, creative musicianship, to all the creativity that you put into podcasting, being a spokesperson, and running an agency today.
Sure. I mean, I think ultimately it was a little bit of really easy stuff and a lot of really hard stuff that sort of made that occur. The reality is that surprisingly enough, the collector car business is not that different from the punk rock scene. And a lot of the skills that I learned from punk metal and hardcore, I have been able to apply pretty successfully to the classic car space. So, I mean, people ask me all the time, what do you take from college versus what do you take from that? And I always tell them the same thing. I use the stuff I learned in college maybe like once a year. The stuff that I from hardcore punk metal, touring the streets, all that stuff, I use every single day over and over and over again. It's by far the greatest education that you can ever give yourself, is to be involved that deeply in something, whether it be, music or some kind of, off, extreme sport, something along those lines, where in order to do it, it requires passion with very little guarantee of return. So I like to hire people like that too. So I think that has contributed tremendously to my success and where I am today.
I totally co-sign on that. Between volunteering in a nonprofit organization in LA 20 years ago that I'm still a member of, that gave me a lot of business skills, more than any job, any entry-level job and education gave me. And I'm saying this as an educator. And I really do look at, now I'm also full-time into podcasting. That's very similar to being a club promoter. I'm trying to create engaged community, trying to help people come around an issue or a cause or music or a scene. So 100% agree with you. And I think that, I don't think that exists a lot today. is the way I'll phrase it. I think that we lived in a very special time when we didn't have all the distractions. We could just test things, try things, learn things without social media and without being afraid to take those chances.
I mean, I think to a degree, social media sort of peaked with its usefulness kind of during my era, I guess, a little bit. Whereas like MySpace was really sort of community and engagement oriented, and it allowed for creativity and encouraged people to get together and do things. Now it seems like social media is really designed to divide people, and you see that with music too. I mean, I still have friends that are making records and working for labels and doing things of that nature, and everything now is based on singles, and it's all for revenue. Whereas before, if you didn't put out a full-length album, you weren't a serious band. So that landscape has changed a lot, I think, largely because of social media. But I agree with you. I mean, people don't congregate in a face-to-face capacity in a manner that they used to, and that's almost assuredly due to social media.
Yeah. Yeah. On the other hand, social media can be helpful if you're trying to promote something, for instance, a classic car show. So talk about your shift and, were you always interested in the car community? What got you interested? And then what propelled you to decide, ooh, this is something I can actually have as a livelihood that I also really love?
I mean, I think to a degree it was that I had an opportunity that I couldn't say no to. For me, it's always been three things. It's been classic cars, it's been music, and it's been exotic animals. And my entire career has basically centered around those three things. So I'm very lucky that I've been able to engage in my passions professionally for as long as I have. I mean, I'm 47 years old now, and I've essentially, if you really think about it, I've kind of never really had a real job, if you want to break it down. It's always been stuff that I've loved. But as far as the transfer from one to another, it was very jarring and very sudden. Essentially, a kind of a chance meeting allowed me to come face to face with the CEO of a major auction house. And we hit it off, and I was in a position where I was very sick and tired of playing music. I wanted to stay home and be with my friends and family full time, and I wanted to have a more stable life for myself. And as a result of this sort of chance encounter that I had a couple months later, my phone rang, and I got offered a job. Now, because I was so desperate to get out of music, I said yes, not knowing what I was going to get paid, not knowing what my job was, not knowing really anything other than a start date. So I assumed that I was going to be working in the mailroom or be somebody's lowly assistant someplace or something along those lines. And to make a long story short, what would basically happen is I was walked into this incredible company that I had admired for years and was told that I was the new vice president of marketing and media.
Wow.
So
okay.
Immediately it's one of those situations, and I'm a boxer too, so it's like getting hit in the face where everything kind of starts ringing in your head. You don't really know what to do. That's kind of what happened there. But in that sort of minute, I realized like stuff like this doesn't happen to people, and this is my shot. And if I don't do this exactly correctly, I'm never going to have another opportunity like this again. So basically what I did is I worked 100 hours a week for 5 years and became more or less the best in my industry at what you do, at what we do. And that's translated over into to creating an agency and taking over Arizona Car Week and doing a bunch of amazing nonprofit work. And it was really a great gateway. But I'll tell you, those first six to 8 months was sheer terror. And I don't ever recommend that anybody make a change that drastic. I mean, essentially, I fell out of a tour van and landed in a boardroom within 24 hours. So, cautionary tale, but it worked out.
Yeah, that does not happen to most people. Very unique story. And it sounds like you kind of, you were put into this position, and that was your MBA, was going through working as hard as you could to make sure that you were doing everything you could to be the best at your job, to be the best in this industry, and then to go on and do a lot of other things in the industry from there, leading to your agency.
Yeah, I mean, and I've always kind of had that desire to try to be the best at everything. I mean, case in point with my music career too. I mean, I was on songs with people that I looked up to when I was a teenager, and I hung with them on all of those songs. At least in my opinion, I did. I don't know if anybody else agrees with that, but the idea is to always try to push as hard as I can and to be as good as the people I admire or better than them. And I've had a lot of help over the years, a lot of great mentors within the industry that have certainly contributed to that too.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because sometimes when people pivot, they pivot into something and then they're like, they get down the road, You say, oh, this isn't really where I want to be. I want to move into something else. You've stayed consistently within an industry, but you have made some shifts. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you have done a number of different roles. You've been the spokesperson again, you've podcasted, and you also now have this agency where you're still in front of the camera, but you're also behind the scenes getting a lot of projects done.
Yeah, I mean, when I left the auction house, Russo and Steel Auctions, I left in August of 2017. I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. I was very, very tired and very unhealthy from, 20-hour work weeks. And, I kind of looked around and went, I should probably try to make some money at some point doing something. So, it was kind of a spur of the moment decision. My father and a friend of mine, we put together the branding and the website, and I launched at SEMA in 2017. And we did primarily the ad agency, which is still active and still taking clients, of course. But that opened up the doors for me to take over various roles in interesting things. I was the host of Sports Car Market Magazine, which is my favorite car magazine. I was the host of their podcast for 70 episodes. I started doing on live event hosting. I now host 2 of the 3 largest automotive events annually in Arizona. One of them's in a baseball stadium, which is really, really cool. The other one's at a lake and draws 60,000 people, which is great. Both raise tons of money for nonprofits, which is good too. And probably most importantly, I've had an opportunity to meet with people that are really sort of community focused. And we've created a number of programs that have benefited over 40 nonprofits to date at over $25 million. So it's kind of been one of those things where I just kind of don't say no to stuff. If somebody comes at me with something that's cool, I don't care how busy my schedule is, I'm going to do it. So, that's kind of been my philosophy the whole time. And it's translated to city work and mayoral appointments here locally in Arizona and a number of other opportunities. But that's the thing is like a lot of people sort of close themselves off from interesting avenues that might potentially enrich their lives. And I kind of have seen that happen with other people over the course of my life and my career. And I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to be that guy. Like, if somebody comes to me with something cool, I'm going to figure it out. And that's just kind of what I've done.
As a business owner myself, I can tell you that finding the right people to hire is absolutely brutal. You post a job, get flooded with hundreds of resumes, but somehow still can't find anyone with the actual skills you need. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter finds amazing candidates for you fast. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/work. Here's what makes ZipRecruiter different. Their smart technology actually identifies the top talent for your specific roles super quickly. The moment you post your job, their matching system starts showing you qualified candidates immediately. Plus, you can reach out to your favorite candidates right away using their pre-written invite to apply messages. No more waiting around, hoping someone will notice your post. Ditch the other hiring sites and let ZipRecruiter find what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/work. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/work. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Yeah. So talk about some of the work that you've done. You mentioned 40 nonprofits, $25 million raised. How did that play into the different events and the different organizations that you are part of or have been part of?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of underlying sort of charitable stuff that goes on in the collector car space. I mean, almost every major event has a nonprofit component someplace. So that's been a help for sure and allowed us to kind of connect with people. But originally we started doing email marketing for international collector car sweepstakes. So I'm sure people have seen banners. I'm sure they've gotten emails, win this car, win this Shelby GT350, win this Corvette, win whatever. That's us that did that. And we started really pushing that kind of stuff really hard in like 2018. And that's been the primary driver. But in the last year or so, I've partnered with another couple of agencies as well as some investors on this additionally. And we have come up with a number of programs now that would more or less be considered a one-stop shop for fundraising for nonprofits. So we spent about 2 years really developing the programs and figuring out kind of every little nook and cranny of this that we possibly could. And we've come up with a handful of options that can work for virtually any nonprofit that's out there. So, and our fees are the lowest in the industry. We're the easiest to work with. We are a for-profit business, but ultimately we are focused on changing the trajectory of nonprofits for the better. And it's been really cool to sort of watch that happen. You go visit a nonprofit at the beginning and it's in a strip mall with one person working there answering 9 phones and no branding on the wall. And they're basically working off the floor. And then you come back 4 years later after you've raised them a couple $1 million, and now they've got a staff of 15. They're way more money for whatever their particular cause is. They become a real deal nonprofit, and that's really super fun to see.
Yeah. Let's talk about the classic car community. I will admit, I don't know a lot about it. I did grow up going to Sturgis and motorcycle things with my dad, but the cars, that's a whole other area. I do also have a niece who is named Shelby after the car. What is it about classic cars that brings people together, creates this community, and gets people still inspired and passionate about this community today?
I think it's kind of multifaceted. Collector cars are diverse. They kind of are historical pieces as well as their art and references for design. And on top of that, people have emotional connections to them. A lot of people that buy collector cars are out buying the car that they wanted to buy when they were 16 years old but couldn't afford, or are buying back the cars that they had when they were that age and want to relive those days. So whereas a lot of other collectibles tend to be more one-dimensional, collector cars touch a lot of different points at the same time. And I think that draws people in, number one. And number two, you have a huge variety of options with collector cars. I mean, we're talking over 100 years of choices at this point. And we can go brass era, we can go muscle cars, we can go 50s Americana, we can go European sports cars, we can go exotic cars, we can go JDM stuff. The path of entry into the collector car community and all the micro communities that exist here are endless. And I think that's appealing for people too, is that they have the freedom to do so many different things here.
Yeah. Were you instrumental in figuring out how to brand all of these events that you are involved in? Did they already exist? Did you help create them? And what was that like, considering all of these micro communities within the larger community? Were you trying to attract one or two of those communities? Were you just trying to attract all classic car lovers?
In regard to Concours in the Hills and the Copper State 1000, which are the two main events that I host now, those were pre-existing events. My objective has always been to try and grow those and to try to make those the best that I can. There are phenomenal organizations behind both of those. Phoenix Children's Hospital is behind Concours in the Hills, and the Men's Arts Council and the Phoenix Art Museum are behind the Copper State 1000. So obviously it's people that know what they're doing. And, my contributions to that are more of the stage show variety, but we help with marketing certainly in that regard. We've really sort of taken the reins on is Arizona Car Week. Many know it takes place the third week of January. It sets the market for the upcoming year in the collector car space. We're kind of the first really big series of events. Traditionally, it's been focused on auctions. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the ones that are on TV that happen here in Scottsdale every January. But we really decided that we needed to increase the relevance and increase the appeal of Arizona Car Week. So we started polling people on my newsletter. I've got a newsletter called the Z260. We've got about 20,000 subscribers, and I spent a good probably 2 months last year just asking people on my newsletter, hey, what are you looking for in Car Week? What is Arizona missing? What is Monterey missing? What is Amelia Island missing? What are those things doing correctly? And from that data that we took, we went out and basically tried to put together the ultimate Car Week. And in Arizona Car Week 2026, which is our really first big launch of it, we did 31 events. So normally it's 11 to 14, mostly auction events, but we took it up to 31 and kind of changed the face of that. And that's been creating new events, creating new concepts, booking stuff, consulting, it's branding, it's all the marketing elements of that. It's dealing with the political side of bringing 300,000 people to one specific area. So that's been kind of a culmination of all of the skills that I've acquired over the last couple of years. And candidly, it's really fun. We just kind of started pushing again for 2026. When we started working in May, but we really started the push probably beginning of September. And, there's a little anxiety because it's so hectic, but it's really fun. And it's definitely going to benefit the community long term. And it's brought a lot of people from a lot of different parts of the community that weren't really aware of each other before together. And it's been a really neat thing to have happen here in the Phoenix area.
Yeah. And when it comes to your agency, how is the growth opportunity in this marketplace? Because you hear classic cars, there's a finite amount of classic cars, right? Is the audience continuing to grow? Are people having this sense of nostalgia? And how do you make sure that you're targeting the right people or growing that audience?
Well, I think really what you need to do is understand that the collector car market exists on a pyramid. The auction houses, including online outlets like Bring a Trailer, are at the top of that. So you need to be very, very conscious of what's going on in the marketplace at any given time. And this goes individual makes, models, option packages. The more detailed, the better. And that's really our advantage. And that's why we are where we are within this space, is that we understand this marketplace inside and out more thoroughly than anybody else does. And candidly, we run into this a lot where our phone will ring and it'll be like, oh yeah, hey, I'm having a lot of trouble with my marketing. I hired some local agency that deals with buy here, pay here lots or new car dealers, and they just kind of don't understand what's going on in the collector car space. And that's the reality, is it's a very, very different place to be. And a lot of people that try to come into this don't understand that and don't have the frame of knowledge required in order to make the sound decisions and to keep up with the fast-paced changing market that we're always on top of. So the first part of that is you always need to have market knowledge and market expertise, and we've definitely got that in spades over here. So that's been what's really set us apart. Now, as far as continuing the space and continuing the industry is concerned, the baby boomers obviously been pushing very, very hard on this and have made this kind of what this is. The next wave, primarily older Gen X, has come in now, and specifically in Monterey, California in August, which is the biggest car week in the country. They really showed up, and now exotic cars and supercars are sort of leading the charge. I mean, you don't think about a Lamborghini Diablo being a classic car, but that's a 25-year-old car now. Like in some cases, even older. So those are classic cars now, and those people are starting to come into the marketplace and expressing their passions through their buying decisions. And we're conscious of that, and we're actively studying what those consumers are interested in all the time so that we can help our clients reach the people that will benefit them the most.
Yeah. And thinking about how you got your start in the industry, and one of the things you've used to describe yourself and the way that you like to hire is people who are inquisitive, want to learn, are willing to say yes to new opportunities. And obviously invested a lot of time in that first yes. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about your brand, how you built up your brand visibility within the industry, and what are some words that you described about yourself?
I mean, I don't think we really necessarily have a secret sauce. It's show up, do cool things, do them at a very high level, and do them with customer service and for a reasonable price. Almost all of our business is referral business. We do a little bit of marketing for ourselves, but it's pretty limited for the most part. Most of our marketing dollars go to Arizona Car Week and Motorworks Gives, which is our nonprofit stuff. We also have a collector classic cars for nonprofits, which is another component of Motorworks Gives. And then, of course, my newsletter, the Z260. So that's really what we do for marketing, is kind of engage in all those things. But I'll tell you, I mean, I don't do a lot of sales for the agency. The phone just rings. I mean, we'd be taking, 4 or 5 clients. We lose 4 or 5 clients. It kind of stays consistent. So just being accessible, being a good, honorable, ethical person, and producing very high quality work will get you a really long way. And that's kind of been my personal philosophy throughout the course of my career, is just always do stuff at the highest level that you can and be good to people.
Yeah, nice. And those are human qualities, right? We know that the world is, and I do a lot with AI, but I'm wondering, have you seen it in your agency, or have you seen AI infiltrate parts of the classic car world?
Yes, and it's really bad at it. You can tell pretty much immediately, and I'll have a client come up with me with some deck that they put together, some branding sort of guideline packet, and you can tell the entire thing was written by ChatGPT almost immediately, and it's almost always complete garbage. There are things that AI is very good at within this space. For example, I'm in the process of restoring a very, very rare 1950s motorcycle right now. And it knows paint codes. It knows how to disassemble and reassemble seals for the front end suspension, like stuff that would take me 6 months to research through message boards that are being translated over from Italian and Yugoslavian and stuff like that, are fed to me in 30 seconds. So that's been really beneficial for sure. As far as affecting our agency, right now it's not. Will it at some point? I think probably almost assuredly. So the trick is I think you need to be able to understand how to harness AI and create products that your customers can use with your expertise of AI. So I think it becomes a tool and another component of your brand. Now, I'm not saying that, we don't have T1000s that are melting through walls in a couple of years. It's certainly possible. However, as of right now, I think we're largely unaffected because of the niche nature of what we're doing. And also our client base does not like AI. They're smart and well, and understand communication well enough to know when something that's not authentic is being fed to them. And authenticity has always been a really major part of who I am and what I do. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you can tell from talking to me that I just kind of am myself unapologetically all the time, and AI is not capable of doing that.
Yeah. 100%. So that's a trend that we're seeing in all things, particularly marketing, sales. What are some trends, good and bad, that you've seen in the classic car business overall?
The inclusion of private equity, Wall Street, and corporate America, I think, has produced some positive things. However, in my opinion, it's been more negative than positive. This has always been a mom and pop type of industry, and that's one of the things that's made it so great. But now we've got so many of these big companies that are buying in, and the problem is that they can't move quickly enough in order to make the decisions that are needed to keep up with the marketplace. I think, for example, Sotheby's, who bought into RM auctions a few years ago, has done better than most. And Christie's Auction House just bought into Gooding and Company earlier this year, and their first event was in Monterey in August, and they did a fabulous job too. So there's definitely exceptions to this, but I think overwhelmingly the tactics that are used by Wall Street and private equity are not very effective in this space. And the path of least resistance, I think, always is going to be to have one sort of semi-egomaniac sitting at the head of a table making, what seem at the time to be irrational decisions based on market speculations. And those tend to work out. I mean, the auction houses that are really doing well have those people in those places, and they do better than most. When you've got too much corporate oversight and too many bean counters involved, the layers of approval and things of that nature are just too deep, and it takes too long to pivot. And you can see that with companies that have that. Their product feels very stale and very bland, and they just don't move as quickly as their competitors do. And it's the structure that causes that.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask a little bit about the nonprofits that are associated with the car business as well, because that's obviously not a trend. It's just part and parcel. How do you choose what nonprofits fit the event or fit the demographic of the audience or something they'd be interested in? And do you ever have to turn away nonprofits?
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
A lot of times they come looking for us, to be honest. Anything with children and puppies or cancer is always really easy to sell to this group. Any automotive-related stuff, car museums, preservation societies, car clubs that maintain significant, important historical records and data. Any of that stuff is a pretty easy sell to our audience. I did have one situation not too long ago that really kind of broke my heart. I was at another event. I was speaking at a charitable giving conference, I don't know, a year and a half ago. And somebody came up to me after the presentation and said, "Hey, I've got a nonprofit I really want you to check out." So I met with her, and I went down and I toured this nonprofit. And it was an incredible experience. It highlighted a bunch of really unforeseen problems in our community, and it had a really unique and interesting way of trying to deal with it. What it was doing was basically trying to stop violence from men against men on the streets who are homeless, and then trying to incorporate those men that wanted out of that lifestyle into a very slow-moving and relatively expensive situation, to where their success rate and their return clients, I guess you would call them, was very, very, very low. So I walked away from this going, this is incredible. I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, I spent some time on the streets when I was a teenager too, so I can relate to this. And I went and took it to a major car club, who shall not be named, and said, "Hey, I really want to do this event with you guys that you're already interested in, and here's the charitable component I want." And I was really, 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 really excited about it. And they came back and they said, "No, we're not interested in helping men." And that really has been the one that has been the biggest heartbreaker. And I've kind of seen that around a little bit. Like, anything that's designed to help men in need is automatically a no-go. And I'm not sure if that's just this community or if that's a more broad, wide sweeping situation. But, I'm going to keep trying with stuff like that, I think, probably. But there seems to be a wall there that a lot of, especially larger events, don't want to cross in order to sort of be involved. I think maybe the exception to that would be Steve McQueen's events that they do with his boys' house in California. But again, when you have a name like Steve McQueen attached to it, I think it changes things a little bit. But that's really been the nonprofits we've turned away. I mean, some of the other ones, if they come at me and they immediately lie about something, or It's very obvious that they are not in a position organizationally to where they can handle even anything at all. We'll do our best with those people, but a lot of times there's only so much we can do. I mean, we can't quarterback their organizations for them. So, organizations that have strong leadership that are trying really hard, regardless of their size, we can almost always do something for.
Yeah, amazing. You teed up a little bit some of the events that you're working on, some of the excitement that you have. What else are you looking forward to in the next 2 to 5 years?
I'd like to keep growing Arizona Car Week. I mean, I think that's a huge priority. I love doing my newsletter. I'd love to continue to do that. Your listeners are more than welcome to subscribe. Just go to www.z260z260.com and you can register there. We publish every Sunday, and it's generally inside information, stuff that you wouldn't normally get anywhere else surrounding the collector car market. And that's kind of been our specialty there. But that's really where I'm at right now. Is I want to continue to enjoy my agency. I want to enjoy working with the clients that I do. I want to work on motorcycles. I discovered mid-century Italian motorcycles a couple of years ago, and I'm totally hooked on those. So I want to do more of that. I want to spend time with my animals and just kind of continue to keep things moving the way that they're moving now. I mean, I think as far as the undeveloped stuff goes, I want to do as much nonprofit work as I can. I'd like to raise $100 million over the course of my career if I can. That's really kind of my long-term goal. And I just want to make Arizona Car Week as big and as relevant as I can for future generations, and to try to keep the tax dollars coming in from the tourists that we have come into the valley every January.
Nice. Okay, I have to ask about the exotic animals because you've mentioned that a couple of times. What animals do you have? What animals do you love? Is this just to have them as pets? Are you involved in some of the markets?
This is something I kind of keep to myself. I was a reptile handler in my early 20s when my band wasn't on tour. I've played with virtually everything. Like, I'm sure you have never had a guest before that knows how to properly crate an alligator, but I do.
Oh.
But I've really kind of found my sweet spot. I've had a little bit of everything. I've had all kinds of crazy things, living in places I shouldn't have them living. But right now, I've really kind of discovered that my sweet spot is tortoises and geckos. So that's really what I stick with. The eventual goal is probably an Aldabra tortoise. I would also like to get a kangaroo and a giraffe at some point. I think if I can pull all that off, I'd be a happy camper.
Hey, wow. That must mean you're going to have a lot of space.
That's the long-term goal is to go someplace, with a handful of acres on it that's maybe zoned for horses, and and then do that for the rest of my life. And then when I die, the county will have to come out and deal with it, and I'll be on the news.
Well, that'll definitely be another story for another day for us. What is the one thing that you would say to people who are really passionate about something, not sure how they can make it their job, right? Not just a hobby. I mean, when I started podcasting, it was just for fun, for a couple of clients and for fun. I didn't take it seriously as a business, probably as early as I should have. But now that I get to really enjoy these conversations, and I really get to enjoy what I do, and I can make money off of it. You obviously have had a lot of luck in that trajectory, but obviously you had to also have connections and a few other things. So what advice would you give to somebody who's looking to make a move?
First and foremost, don't try to go alone to start. Get in with a company or something along those lines that you respect. And this means even if you have to apply over and over and over again for years on end, do it, because the connections that you make there, I mean, they say your network is your net worth. That's really, really, really accurate. Had I not had 5 years of working for a major auction house, there's no way I would have been able to build what I've built since then. So that would be the first stop, is to look for something that you respect and try to get involved, and do the research too. I mean, there's a lot of unethical companies out there, as there is in any space. So you want to make sure that you know what you're getting into first, especially with passion-based businesses. A lot of employers know that they can leverage that in order to get more for less out of people. So be aware of that when you're coming in. And now for kind of the cautionary side of this is, when you get into these sort of passion-based professions, you have to work extremely hard because the competition is fierce. Everybody wants to do what they love for a living. So you have to be better than everybody, literally, in order to survive. And that takes a lot of grinding, a lot of hours, and a lot of work. And in the process of that, you tend to lose some of the passion, some of the love. For example, I don't go to concerts anymore. I checked all the boxes on my bucket list for concerts and shows I wanted to see. I haven't been to a concert in 2-3 years. I used to go to 4 or 5 a week. It's the same thing with cars now too. I mean, you're never going to catch me at Cars and Coffee unless I have no other choice to be there. And it's because I spend 80 hours a week doing car stuff. Do you think I want to get up at 6 a.m. on my one day off and go stand in a cold parking lot and talk to people about cars more? I mean, the answer to that is no. But you can always evolve. And for me, what's kept me sane in this business and kept me plugged in is finding mid-century Italian motorcycles. That has reignited not only the passion that I have for cars, but it's given me an outlet to work with. It's a little bit outside the space, but there's still a lot of things that line up and sort of run parallel. So it's almost the same thing, but not quite. So it's kind of a nice vacation there. But understand, you are risking your ability to enjoy what you enjoy at the level that you currently enjoy it at once you make it your entire life.
So it's a little bit cautionary tale.
I mean, a little bit. At the end of the day, I love what I do. I've loved what I've done my whole career. I've been exceptionally lucky. I mean, I could be in a kiosk selling cell phone plans someplace, I mean, not that that's not great for somebody, but that would make me insane. So, again, you have to look at the positives and the negatives. And I find that people that come into this space in particular tend to only look at the positives. They don't read the room. And then they have unrealistic expectations that they're just going to walk in the door, be playing with Concours level cars overnight, and then get a TV show in 6 months. And that's virtually never how this goes. And the people that do come into this industry with that sort of mind frame end up leaving pretty quickly and pretty unhappy. So you need to kind of understand the reality of the situation. And again, going to work for somebody else that knows what they're doing and has created something within, especially this space first, is a great way to sort of solve a lot of those problems initially.
Nice. Okay, Darin, we are going to lead people to your website, but I also want to ask if you have a final quote, mantra, poem, verse, family motto, words that continue to keep you inspired.
My dad's quote, I go back to it all the time. The key to life is rabbits. If you don't have at least a couple hiding up your sleeve at all times, you're eventually going to run out of magic.
I've never heard that before, but I love it. So thank you for enlightening us all into the world of classic cars. I loved hearing about your background. Definitely want to see where you go, where you take things, and what happens next in your career. So we'll stay in touch. And thank you to everybody who's watching this episode or listening to it. You're going to have the resources to follow Darin, subscribe to his newsletter. Perhaps you want to go out to Arizona Car Week. So there are a lot of options for you to experience something new if this is not the world you're in, and to learn from one of the best in the business. So thanks again, Darin.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And if you want to learn more, check us out at yourbandamplified.com.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Get up to 35% off select major appliances and save an additional $1,000 when you buy 4 select LG major appliances. Plus, get a free DeWalt 20-volt Max 5 amp-hour battery when you buy a select DeWalt 20-volt Max tool. Get the job done for less at Lowe's. We help. You save. Valid through 9/26. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See associate or Lowes.com for more details and qualifying items.